to the Board Game Specialists. I'm Carla.
And I'm Melanie.
And this week we are talking about our top 9 Phil Walker Harding games.
Yes.
Now this list, I think we are going to have some crossovers. Because I know
think so.
we have some that are the same, and I know we both like them. So I assume they'll make it on our lists.
There was a lot in this list that I didn't realize until I went and looked it up that it was him who'd made the games.
I know.
I was like, oh, he did. Oh, and this. So, yeah, it was. It was a good list to put together for sure.
Yeah, so fun. Before we get into that, what have you been playing?
So I had 2 game days this week. It always works out like I plan a Saturday game day, and then earlier in the week, Lee's like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to tell you, I have a golf tournament. I'm gone. So then I ended up doing a game night on Wednesday as well. But a couple of games that we ended up playing on the Saturday. The one was Dice Throne. Now, I'm a big fan of Dice Throne. I have all the Dice Throne. I did a Dice Throne adventure. And Ashley and Kayla were there, and then they had never played it. And I was like, really? How do you, from Alberta, and not have played Dice Throne with the Roxley being right here? But so I said, well, then let's play it. So we played a 3-player Dice Throne. And it was a big hit. I think they really liked it. I think they liked it more than they thought they would, for sure. And then they're like, oh. And then they're like, okay, so I got discussing and debating, like, should you get the 2-pack? Or should you get the battle chest and get, like, 8 characters? And do you really need to get are you going to be satisfied with just the 2 characters? Or do you get multiple? Like, and it was just like, how do you purchase and what do you end up getting? But with Dice Throne is great. Like, every player plays as a different character, and there's all different characters that you can play as. You have a trifold board that you open up, and on there's different attacks that you can activate, and depending on what you roll with the dice, and each character has their own unique set of custom dice. So you'll roll, and depending on the symbol or the number, you might be activating a different ability. To say, okay, well, I'm activating this attack. It's not as big as I was hoping for, but it does this. And then it'll attack, possibly. Each character also has, like, effects that they can cause. Some stuff is good things that will be for them. It's like, so I was playing as the monk, and I would win chi. And chi allowed me to either add to my attack or add to my defense. And then I could also do cleanse, which would take away some. If somebody put, like, a poison on me, I could use cleanse to remove that, and then different things like that. And then once you attack, so it's like, okay, well, I'm activating this, I'm attacking Kayla. And then Kayla, her character also has a defense. So depending on how many dice she has to roll for her defense, so she rolls that, and then she can defend against my attack. Now, sometimes the defend doesn't actually defend, but it hits back, for example, or different things like that. So it was great. We ended up playing a game of that. So I was the monk. Who was Kayla? I'm trying to remember who she was. And then Ashley played as the artificer. And so we got started, and because there's a sheet that has, like, the instruction or kind of Q&A, so you have some information. She's like, oh, great, I picked the hardest guys. So, yeah, you did. But it was great. We had a lot of fun with that. It was a huge hit. I love Dice Throne still. Then afterwards, we pulled out the Manhattan Project. So this is an older one. Like, I have the Manhattan Project, the card game. This is the Manhattan Project. I know the big one that gets talked about a lot is Manhattan Project Energy Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have that one. This was the Manhattan Project, but this is a really interesting and neat worker placement game. So you have the board, you have these different things where you can go, but you also have your own player board. So you can go to kind of build, there's cards on the top, so you can send your worker there, and you start with 4 laborer. And there's scientists and there's engineers. But you don't start with those. You have to go and send a laborer to university so he can become a scientist or and upgrade them. And then you'd have more workers as well. But so you can go to the university and upgrade them, or you can go and get to this location where you can get these cards, and then these cards you have to pay the money to get them, but then those go into your player board. Now you have these extra locations you can go to. You can go in. There's a spot where it allows you to get money. There's a spot that allows you to trade the resources, because the goal of the game is you're collecting yellow cake to turn them into plutonium and uranium so that you can create bombs, and each of these bombs are worth points, and you're trying to get as many bombs, or to kind of create bombs to reach a certain number of victory points. So in the 3-player game, we're playing to 60 points. So the first one to reach 60 points wins the game. So it's kind of a race game. But then if you arm your bomb, then it's worth more points. But like everything is going to cost you. Some scientists and the engineers and all that stuff. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to arm this one, or I'm going to build this one. So I need 7 uranium, so I've got that there. Oh, but I need 2 engineer and 1 scientist, and now I have this bomb here. So it's a dark theme, really, when you think of it. But the art is so cutesy that it kind of negates all of that, because you have all these round head characters that have no face, really. The engineer has a hat, and the scientists have glasses, and the laborer is just a round head. But the art is really cutesy. And then it was really neat because you can go in this one location where you can spend money to go up on the spy location, and then the more spy you have, the more, like, so if I got up to the one location, well, now I can send I can send my workers and activate a building on another player's board. So I was like, oh, actually, I see that great building you got there that changes and creates all those yellow cakes. And then I was like, I'm just gonna send my guys there, and then she's like, darn you, get off my buildings. And then your workers stay there until you take the action of bringing them back. So sometimes, like, okay, I really need you to move now. You're in the way. So it was so good. It was so good. The girls we play with really enjoyed it as well. This particular one didn't have a solo mode, which I guess Ashley was kind of hoping for, but the Energy Empire does, and I don't know how they compare just because I've never played the second one, but
they're quite different.
Yeah. So, then there's another one on my wish list.
They're still good. I actually have it set up on my table for a game day tomorrow.
Nice. Very nice.
Because Ashley's like, I want to try the solo mode. And I said, okay, well, let's play it first, and then you can take it and do the solo mode.
Yeah, perfect.
Did you give her the card game to try the solo mode?
Oh, I don't know if the card game has a solo mode. I never checked. Yeah. But we didn't pull it out, so I don't.
Okay. Maybe I'll pull that over too. Awesome.
Yeah, how about you? What have you been playing?
Well, I was at one of your game days on the Wednesday, and one of the games that was so fun and I had wanted to try for a while was that Shadows Amsterdam. Now, that was one of our Bianca finds, like our little liquidation game, or not game store, but store that is selling some of these board games. I think that one is $9 or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I didn't buy because it's like a 4+ player, which I typically don't have 4 often. But I think it'd be good for family too, because it's like, it kind of combines code names with Mysterium. Yeah. Wouldn't you say? That's kind of like the combo. And I was surprised how big the tiles were. So you set up all these hexagon tiles with these crazy pictures on them of these like cartoonish like animals, but kind of abstract still. And then you have 2 teams, and me and Mal were on the same team. And Ashley and Kayla are on the other team. And so one of us is a clue giver. And so we're trying to just get you to move around this board, kind of like a little bit like Mystic Paths. Is that the name of it? Where you want to go in a certain like path, but you only need to go to certain spots. So, and once you do, you get to put your like player marker on there and say that you've gone there. And then there's some that are neutral that you both could go to, and the first one who gets there gets to put their player down. But I'm usually not good at these like abstract card games because my mind is usually way out there from everybody else I'm playing with. But apparently we had the same kind of wavelength going on.
Yeah, no, we did go right.
Because we played twice, and I was the clue giver one game, you were the clue giver the other game, and like for our team, and we won both of them. But it was so funny to watch them get frustrated. Which usually I do.
Because sometimes it's like, okay, I have no idea
Where is your brain?
Where are you sending me?
How are you relating this picture to
And
anything that's on the board?
There's not, like, because you got 10 tiles that's available to you, so you are limited.
And sometimes, there's nothing. Literally nothing. And you're like, okay, I hope you got this little tiny corner that I kind of thought would maybe relate to that one on the picture. But yeah, it was fun. But I totally recommend that one. It's really neat. And the game will change every time, right? Because you'll put the tiles in different spots.
Yeah, the tiles changes up all the time, and then what you have available is different. And then there's the map that sends the clues at different locations, so that's all different as well. Yeah.
So just like Codename, you get a card with the different grid, whereas this, it's like a hexagon grid kind of, but they're all different, so it always changes. Another one I played, I had bought 4 of these games, and they are all called Crime Scene, and then they have like a city on them. Like I lent you one. I think I lent you Brooklyn, and I have my next one I'm going to do is called London 1892, and they're a cross between like a case file and an unlock game. So, you know how I'm so into these case files. It would be, I'd say it's more like an unlock game with a bit of like crime theme. Nice. And so what you do in this one is you open like the book, and it has a little bit of a story on one page, and then you start and you flip one of these cards over, and you see like it has little yarn pieces that will attach or on the card, and so you're trying to attach cards to them because you're making this big crime board kind of thing. And so it's kind of neat because then so that's the first puzzle. So it's like a puzzle like in Unlock, and you have to figure it out. And then you'll flip over like the possible answers for it once you've figured out the puzzle. And then it's like 3 options of answers, and you'll choose one that you think is the right answer. And then you'll look at that clue card. And if it matches like the yarn that it'll attach to, like it'll have different directions, like that's how you kind of check your answer. And then you flip over. Well, and then the other thing is you have this little board with the crime scene, and it has a grid on it with numbers, so that's how you kind of like figure stuff out. Like your first card will give you like it'll have underlined words, and so then you're kind of looking for those on the crime scene, and sometimes you just have to find stuff, or there's all kinds of different things. But it's really neat how you check your answer, because you can always, like, if that's not it, you're like, okay, well, let me go back and figure out something different. And then you look and you're like, okay, this attaches, and sometimes then it'll have 2 more pieces, so you need extra clues, and you have to look back on the crime scene. You're like, oh, there's 4 gloves. There's one like hidden over here and here. So then you grab those cards, and it just kind of goes on. It's more at my level for Unlock, because I find Unlocks really hard. I don't know if those puzzles for me are just like, I play them with my friend Cherry, and she's really good at them. So I just kind of hang in the background, and every once in a while, this, I think I got that. But she's really doing all the main work in it. But these ones are much more my speed. So hopefully you like that one, Mel. Mm-hmm. But those are a couple. Yeah, those are a couple, and they'd be fun to play with other people. I only played the first one by myself just to see how it works, but I would definitely do the rest of them with other people. But yeah, so that's a couple of the games I've been playing. But let's get into our list. I'm super excited for this list because he is definitely one of my favorite designers. If I ever had to get rid of a lot of my games and downsize, his would be some of the last ones that I would get rid of, just because they play at all different types of player styles. Yes. Like, heavy gamers, light gamers, new gamers, kids, like he's really got it figured out. That
he's got a nice wide range that will appeal to a wide range of people.
Exactly.
When I went through it, I was like, I was so impressed. And I mean, there's a wide variety of type of games that he's done as well. Mm-hmm. Now, he's from Australia, lives in Sydney. They seem to have a big board gaming community in Australia as well.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, we
They
need
got
to grow
lots of
this in Alberta.
podcasts and content creators and all kinds of things there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would definitely like to check out that part of the world at some time in my life. That'd be awesome. But let's start. Do you have any honorable
Yes.
mentions? Okay.
Actually, I don't know what this is on my list. Let me look real quick here. Because I do the list using PubMeeple, and then I take a print screen of it, and then I email it to myself. So that's why I have. Oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say no because it fits somewhere else.
Okay.
And I'll talk about that later.
All
So
right.
my number 9 then. My number 9 is actually a game that we had talked about a little while ago because I was so impressed with it, and that's Tetris. So he created Tetris in 2021, and it was just so neat because I mean, who hasn't played Tetris? And this actually takes the Tetris, and you get that feel in a board game. So you have the board, you have like a plastic thing in front of you, and there's little symbol in there. And the symbol is if you have the shape land on top of the symbol that matches, you would get a bonus. And then you get kind of extra points for that. So everybody has their things in front of them. You flip a card over so everybody gets the same piece and you put it somewhere. Now you can rotate any way you want, but you can't flip it because of the way that the pieces are designed. There's like little grooves it has to fit in, so you have to kind of stick with the shape you got. You can't flip, but you can rotate. So it'll be like, okay, well, I'll put this over here. And there's also other cards that have like goal cards. And there's like, if you have so many lines or if you create this, and there's different goals. And then if you kind of complete it, then you take a thing to show that you've completed it, and the first one to do it gets more points than the second one and third one and so on. But so you have all these pieces and you flip the next card and you get the next piece and then you put that in there, and then there's a couple of little small black pieces that you can fill a 1x1 hole, because that will happen. Sometimes you'll end up getting a gap, and then you just kind of play this Tetris game, and you got to stack things well enough because you can't be sticking out the top. But it's Tetris in a board game. It was so satisfying to play. And then I had watched that Tetris movie around that time as well, so really sparked my interest in Tetris even more after that. So, and actually I have it just behind me here. You can't see it, but it's on my shelf behind me. Yeah, so that's my number 9, Tetris.
Awesome. My number 9 is one I played with you at your place, and that is Summer Camp, made in 2021. Yeah. So this one I've only played once, but I still really liked it. It was a nice, lighter deck builder race game, though.
Yes.
So kind of like a really light version of like El Dorado, kind of, I found. Like, just because you're racing to the end, you're not really exploring. Like, you can only go in one direction. But it was still really neat because you will draw your deck out, and I think you start with 5 cards or so, and then the things you can do is like move or buy more cards. And some of the cards that you will buy let you move like on other tracks or like move up on more tracks. And then once you get to certain points, you get bonuses from moving too. Or if you're the first one to a spot, you'll get a bonus, right? And it's all different things that, like, there's s'mores, there's all like summer camp themed things, and it's really neat. We played a 4-player game, I believe. Yeah. And I think it was really close, but it was super fun, and that's my number 9, Summer Camp.
Nice. I like it. My number 8 is Adventure Games, The Dungeon. Now, this one was co-designed with Matthew Dunstan, and it was created in 2019. And this is like an unlock game or an exit game, but it's more adventure-like. Like, there's more of a story behind it, so much more. Like, because, I mean, with the unlock, it's kind of, you go through and you're trying to solve the puzzles, and it's not very story heavy. This one is
puzzle heavy, yeah.
Yeah, it's puzzle heavy, and then there's kind of a theme to it. But with this adventure game one, like, there is a story behind it. Like you kind of see the scene, and then there's, so you're in the dungeon, and there's like different numbers on the thing depending on what you're looking at, and you're trying to definitely solve the puzzle, trying to make your way through, but you're trying to escape and like kind of see where you're going. And like it was very neat. I played it. This is one where you played the one time. I played it the one time with friends of ours that had come over like many years ago. I think it was probably maybe 2020. Like, so it was fairly fresh game. So some of the details are a little fuzzy because it's been so long, but and it's not one that you play multiple time. I think there's like, this was a series. There was other ones in this series as well. But it was just so neat, like going through the artwork, the concept, and we enjoy that kind of game. So that was my number 8 adventure game, The Dungeon.
Nice. My next one I feel like is going to be on your list. And that is Super Mega Lucky Box, made in 2021. Now this one is a flip and write, and it's such a neat flip and write because you can write on the cards, so they're like a dry erase card, which is really cool. And it's kind of like a bingo style game where you have these different cards that you're just trying to cross everything off to get different bonuses. And if you can complete a card as early as possible, you're going to get more points. You have 3 rounds, and all your cards have a 3x3 grid on them of numbers. And then, so everybody has that to start. And then you're going to flip out of these 18 cards. You take 9 of them, and they're numbers 1 to 9 twice. So you don't know which 9 are coming out. You could have 2 2s in there, or you could have 1 to 9 literally. But you're going to flip them one at a time, and if you flip a 2, everybody can mark off a 2. Next time you'll flip one. If it's a 5, everybody can mark off a 5. Now, if you ever complete a line, a row or a column, there's a bonus at the end of that. So it might be another number, like a specific number that you get to cross off. It might be a wild number. You can cross anything. It might be a moon, and you want to collect these moons because if you are the person who has the least moons at the end of the game, you're going to lose 6 points. If you're the person that has the most, you're going to gain 6 points. It might be a star, which lets you cross off on your little score sheet. It could also be a little lightning bolt, which helps you mitigate the number. So say the card pulls a 7 and I have no 7s left to mark off. I can use a lightning bolt to up it to an 8 or down it to a 5, or I can use multiple lightning bolts to change the number. It's such a simple game. You can play this with kids. You can play this with anyone, but it's quite addicting because you'll play it and then you do the next round. And it's very fast. Like I would say a 15-minute game. And then especially if someone's only played it once, they're like, okay, now I know, let's play it again.
I'm ready now.
I get it. And it's just an easy one. I think it plays at a higher player count too, like 6 or 8 people. But it's a really neat one. And that's my number 8, Super Mega Lucky Box.
Nice. My number 7 is Silver and Gold. And that one was published in 2019. It's very similar to the Super Mega Lucky Box, as in it's a flip and write as well. This was the first game I came across where you used the dry erase marker directly on the card. And it was very controversial. I remember with my group of friends, we were like, what? No, that feels wrong. My friend Lyle sleeved them anyways. He's like, I don't care. It's like, I'm just not comfortable. So I was like, okay. But yeah, it was like, okay, are you sure? It's like, it took some, like, it just felt so wrong the first couple of times we played it. But this one is great. And this one is kind of like a pirate theme. You're hunting for treasures. So each card that you're going to be is a treasure map, and there's a grid on it that's different shape, and sometimes there's a cutout and stuff, and there'll be palm trees on it, there'll be a gold coins, there'll be different things on there, and you flip over, and the card that you flip over will have a shape with squares, right? So like more like the Tetris shape. So it'll be like, okay, well, it's an L, so then you could put this L anywhere you want onto your map. If you cover a symbol, So if you cover the coin, then you can go ahead and cross off a coin on your main board. If you cross over a palm tree, then what you're going to do is you're going to look on the main area how many palm trees is in the future treasure maps that are available to draw from, and that's how much you score. So you don't score the palm tree on your card, you count what's over there. So sometimes I'm not going to cover a palm tree, there's only one out there, I'm going to wait till these cards refresh. But then sometimes there's more palm trees, and there's also like symbols. Each card have a different symbol attached to it, and then sometimes like, okay, well, I got this one, and this card actually scores me 2 points for every gray cards I got completed, so then I'm going to try to collect some gray cards. And so there's different ways that you're scoring. It's just very satisfying. A simple game to play, super fun. And that's number 7, silver and gold.
My number 7 is silver and gold.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, it has that similarity to Super Mega Lucky Box with those dry erase cards. And they are awesome. It really, they rub off really easily.
Yeah.
You don't have to wet it, or you don't have to scrub. They just wipe off really nice. And it is a very satisfying game. This one, I know my daughter would always play, even when she was a teenager and like not really into games. She's like, okay, I'll play that one. I'm like, okay. Pull this out.
Right.
Okay, I'll have a few games of silver and gold. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. But yeah, it was. It's easy to get people to play this one. It's really easy because it looks really cool. It's easy to teach, and like you said, so satisfying to fill out a card and then just gain all those points. But yeah,
it is an approachable game. Like to look at it. To learn it, it's not intimidating at all, but it's deep enough to keep it interesting. Yeah. Nice. My number 6 is another crossover as well, and that's Summer Camp. That was one I was like, oh, that was him. And it's just, the theme is super cute with the artwork and then you have different box, so you can change up which one you're going to be playing with each time. But there's 3 paths that you're going down. And, so it could be craft. One is games, so we're like all over that. One was adventure. One was the kitchen. One was different things, right, that you would kind of have that's related to summer camps. And the board's different every time because you got to put it together, and they're all different tiles. And you put these tiles together that creates these 3 paths. So, and each path is broken down into 3 sections. So when you reach the first bridge, first one to do that would get their first badge, and the first badge has a higher value than the second badge would be less. If you're 4th, you get no badge. So,
right.
I was 4th almost every time when we played together. Geez, I'm not getting any badge, but
good teacher.
Yeah, right. That's great. But to be able to get that badge, you need to have crossed a bridge on all 3 paths. Then the second bridge has a second badge for the second level bridge, but then you have to have reach it on all 3 paths and so on. But then at the very end, if you go all the way through the one path, there's another badge there specifically for that category. So if it's the craft one and the first one to complete the craft, then you get that badge, and that's first person there gets the higher badge. So do you concentrate on trying to get all of the ones over the bridge, or do you just run down the one as fast as you can to get that big badge at the end and then kind of come back and try to catch up with the other ones? Like, there's different ways to play it. I was kind of playing the first time I played kind of, okay, let's get everybody across the first bridge, and Lily just went down the first path and made it all the way to the end. I don't think it panned out for her in the end, but it was just like, how are you already there? And then when you land on certain locations, some of the stuff kind of give you different perks, because you also have, is it like little snack bars? That's how you purchase the cards. And some will give you snacks. So you have little snacks, and then it's like, okay, well, I can purchase by 3, but I'm going to spend a snack. So I'm actually purchasing by 4, and I'm going to go get this card. And then some of the card rows, they change, and then some of the cards are always available. It's just very accessible. Like, and one of the things I'm going to say with a lot of his games is they are accessible. This is a great way to introduce somebody to deck building.
Oh yeah.
It looks great. It's a simple enough game for anybody to play, but that whole race process is really exciting and interesting. So that's my number 6, Summer Camp.
Awesome. That's 2 crossovers so far.
Right.
I'm gonna predict. Let's see, 1, maybe 2 more.
I think
no,
maybe
3
more.
2 I'm gonna say 3 because
Okay.
I forgot about one that I already mentioned. Okay.
Okay.
So my number 6 is Sushi Roll, made in 2019. Now this one is a sequel to Sushi Go, which was a card game, a very famous card game that brought a lot of gamers into the hobby, I believe, which I did play it and I really liked it, but I love Sushi Roll because it's dice and it's colorful little sushi dice that have all different sides on them, just like cards that they but the neat thing about it is you have this little conveyor belt. Each of you have this little cardboard conveyor belt, and you roll the dice and you'll choose one on your conveyor belt and then you'll pass it over. So instead of like a hand of cards and then you pass the cards, you're going to pass this little conveyor belt and they just kind of go around the table. And you're just set collecting. You know, you're just trying to collect either the nigiri and then if you have like the wasabi, it'll triple it kind of thing. And there's a few different rules than in the card game, but the dice for me are so satisfying to roll and pick, and you can use, I think, chopsticks let you re-roll. And then there's a menu that, I forget what the menu does.
It kind of lets you take
something.
Dice
you
from
steal
conveyor.
from another conveyor belt. Yeah. So it's really cute and such a cute production. But if you are all about dice games, you really have to try this one. And that is my number 6, Sushi Roll.
Nice. That was my number 10.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my number 5 is another one that's already been mentioned, and that's Super Mega Lucky Box. So this one is great. Like, I mean, you look at it, the box looks like a 70s TV show, game show. Like, it's just bright and in your face, and it's like, okay. And then my friend Michael brought it over to my house one time, and we're going to play it, and he just pulls it out. I was like, oh, we got to play this. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. But yeah, it's bingo. And I mean, like, who doesn't like bingo or who hasn't played bingo? It just appeals to a very wide range of people. And it's just so simple. So you all have these cards with the grid, and it's like a 4x4 grid with a bunch of different numbers on there. So it's your bingo card. And then if you get your rows or your columns, you get the things you get to activate another number, What gets really frustrating, I played this one last time. Actually, we played it was me, Lee, my friend Aaliyah, her son who's going to grade 3, and her kindergartner.
Oh,
like
wow.
she's going into kindergarten. As long as the kid can recognize numbers, they really can play this. And then you can kind of guide them like, oh, well, this one would be a good one to cross over, or this. And then until she's like, I'm just doodling on these cards. Like, I'm not playing with you guys anymore. I'm drawing flowers now. So, but it just worked with the wide range of age. But there's a couple of times, like, I ended up with cards that had all the same numbers, and I didn't have any big numbers, so 8 would come up, and I'm not able to cross off an 8. Now, if you have the lightning bolt, you can spend that to make your 8 into a 7, or you could spend 2 to make an 8 into a 6, but this happened so often I had no lightning bolts yet, so there was like 3 or 4 rounds where I'm just like, well, I'm not crossing anything off. So, but it's just so satisfying to play. I really enjoy this one. So my number 5, Super Mega Lucky Box.
Nice. All right, my number 5, I feel will be a crossover as well, and that is Cacao, made in 2015. Now this one is a tile layer. The first tile layer that I've listed so far. And you are placing tiles in this communal grid that you're all building. And the tiles have your color of workers on them. And depending where you put it on the grid, whichever the side of the square that your workers are touching, you're going to get those things. So what you could possibly get is some cacao, and then you'll place them on your player board. You might be connected to a market, and then you can sell the cacao depending on what the market price is. You might be connected to water, which lets you move up your little chip up this water track that will give you points at the end of the game. The other thing is, I'm trying to think what else.
There's a mine.
The mine, and that's points, strictly points, right?
Straight points.
But it's neat because as you build it, like people are going to connect to. The mine is an area control, so you want to have the most people around that, and then at the end you'll get points. The neat thing about it too is near the end, if you have acquired these sundials, then you can overbuild some of your tiles. So you can take one and plunk it right on top of somebody's, or does it have to go on your own tile? No, I'm forgetting. Or can you put it on anyone's? That I can't remember, but you can place it on top of a tile and then score everything that it's touching. So you could really like score some big points. I can't remember if you can cover somebody's, because I was going to say that would really.
Like, we kind of almost forgot to do that until it's like, yeah, but I don't know if you can cover somebody else. Can,
but it's still really neat. And then there's a whole bunch of expansions, little mini expansions. And when I had purchased mine used, I had got all the expansions with them. And some of them are really neat. Like you don't have to add them all in, but they add just little things like a little objectives that you can like race to get. There's like one with these gems that you can put on. I can't remember how they work, but they're really quite neat. Some of these little expansions that go with it, but it's such a really unique tile laying game, and that's my number 5, Cacao.
Yeah, Cacao is good. My number 4. So my number 4 is the game that was involved in my first board game dream. Have you ever had a board game dream where you dream about board games?
Oh, of course I do. I'm playing them in my dream.
With this one, I actually yelled out loud and woke my partner up. So and that's my number 4 is Sushi Go. And then I'm also including in that one Sushi Go Party. So Sushi Go was published in 2013. Yeah. Sushi Go Party came in 2016. So every time we would play, I can't remember which card we'd play, but we'd put it down and go like, go Sushi Go! So as we're playing with my siblings. So apparently in my sleep, I called out, go Sushi Go. woke him up. He's like, oh my God, are you for real? So I'm playing in my dreams apparently, but this is just a very satisfying game. Like you have your deck of cards, and then it's drafting. So you'd be like, okay, well I'm gonna keep this, but different cards scores differently. Some are straightforward points. Some are worth more if you can attach it to a wasabi. So maybe you want to wait for the wasabi first. Some have to be grouped. So if you have a tempura shrimp, it's nothing, but if you have 2, now it's worth a lot more. And then the more you accumulate, the more it's worth. So be like, oh, okay, well, I'll take the tempura shrimp. And then, but you don't know what's in the deck. You might not have another tempura shrimp out there. Or maybe it's an uneven number and you started collecting way too late and that was the single one that was left. And it's like, oh, are you kidding? So, but it is so satisfying, and you play 3 rounds, and then you have the dessert cards as well. And the dessert cards, they don't score yet, but they score because they stay behind into your pile any dessert cards you take. So it's like, well, do I really want to waste to take a dessert card? Like, because you don't score it, but if you don't take it, you're really gonna feel the lack of points at the end. So you should take dessert points. But, so there's that to consider as well. And then at the end of the 3rd round, you scored the 3 times, and then you score the dessert cards now, and then whoever has the most point wins. So simple, so satisfying. This was a really easy game to found. Like, it's his most well-known game. They have it at Walmart. They have it everywhere. I have gifted this to absolutely everybody. Everybody should have Sushi Go in their collection. I have Sushi Go Party, which is Sushi Go and more. So it's kind of like Dominion where you can build cards you're going to play with. Sushi Go Party, you can build the cards you're going to play with. You can put a deck that has a little bit more of kind of take that where you're stealing from other people, or you can have one that works better for 2 players. You can have one that's just going to be like point madness and you get as many points as you can. Or you can have one that's just kind of suits a family setting a bit more, or it was just so you just changes it up all the time. And there's like actually at the back of the rule book there's the Sushi Go Party menu, so it's kind of like, oh, so for 2 players this is what we suggest for your menu. So it's so great, it's so cleverly done. I love it. The artwork is great, and I just personally I like this one better than Sushi Roll.
Really?
I know, like everybody's like, oh, but the dice, and I was like, it just hasn't replaced Sushi Go for me. So my number 4 is Sushi Go.
Nice. Yeah, the party just adds more sushi goodness to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely more variety in Go Party than in Sushi Roll. They just
and Sushi Party, you can keep score. Like there's a
there's a little game board. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. All right, my number 4 is Explorers, made in 2021. Now this is another flip and write of his. And you start out with this frame, and then you will put in 4 different grids. And there's all different kinds, and they all have letters on them. So if I put an A, B, C, D, that everybody will grab an A, B, C, D. So you have you'll start with the same board, basically. But they will change every game because you can do whatever. You can flip them over, and they're a different letter, or put them wherever. So on each of the 4 quadrants in this grid, you will have a village that you can start at one of those, and everybody will start at the same village. And then you have these tiles of terrain that you're going to flip over. So you flip over a terrain tile, and it has 2 different terrain on it. As the active player, you're going to choose one of the terrain, and then everybody else has the option of the other one. They can take your terrain, but they will have less X's that they can put on their board. So if I choose a water terrain, I'll get to put 3 X's on connecting water somewhere. And then if just desert was on the other side, they can put 3 desert somewhere, or they could choose my water and only put 2. And what you're trying to do is cover up all these different things. So if you can cover up, it's like a set collection thing, or you're racing to these treasure chests, but you need a key first. So you have to get to the key before you open the treasure. If you're the first one to open the treasure in that quadrant, you're going to get big points, and then that'll get crossed off for everybody else. And the next person who gets there will get less points. The scoring changes every game too, because you can flip over different cards on your player board, like for a certain game, and then the next game you can flip different ones over. And then there's objectives that you can race to or have end game points. But it's quite neat because you have to connect everything that you started from. So you can't just put one over here. Your next X's are going to have to connect to something you've already done. It's quite an addicting game too. There's a little solo mode. I think it might even be like a little campaign that you do, but it's really neat. And another just dry erase again, but on like thick cardboard. And that's my number 4, Explorers.
Nice. I haven't played that one, so sounds interesting. All right, my number 3 is Imhotep. This is another one I was like, oh wow, that's such a good game. I didn't realize he had done that one. And this one is good. It's Egyptian themed. You have the different locations that you can go, and it's, I don't know if it's worker placement. It kind of is, but you got to place your workers on the little boats. And when there's enough worker on your boat, you send the worker and assign it to a location. But if like you're wanting to do something and the one boat the other players are building up and they're like, oh my god, they're getting close and I don't want them to go there, you can't send their boat whether you're on it or not and then force them to go. Like, well, I'm sending you to the market. It's like, I don't want to buy a card. I was like, oh, that's too bad. So, and then you got the market where you can get cards, and then cards will give you either special abilities or kind of things that you can kind of tally up to score at the end. You can go to the pyramid. The pyramid is the most cool one because you build the base. So all your your workers is from the quarry. They're bricks, right? So, and everybody has a different colored brick. So you put your bricks onto the pyramid, and depending on where you land on the pyramid, how many points it's worth. And then after the base is built, then you do like the second layer of the pyramid, and eventually it will build into the shape of a pyramid. And you're trying to set yourself up because you got to follow the order, and you're trying to set yourself up so that your brick lands on the spot that would give you the most points. And then you can go to the location where it's like a wall that you're building, and you just kind of keep adding to the wall, but looking up down onto it. It's whoever has the most color representation on this wall would get the most points. So if I was like, okay, well, I got 5 and they have 3, but then they just put a 4th one that covers one of mine. So now like it's what is visible from the top. And then you have this other area where it's a big grid, but then again, you're filling it from top to bottom, and you're kind of left to right, and you're trying to create clusters of your colors. And I played this with Lyle, my friend Lyle, one time, and he just slaughtered me in this one. And then every time I would start to put some bricks together, he'd break up my clusters, so I would only score little tiny clusters, and all of his was like one big giant thing together that he scored so many points for. It was ridiculous. But it's so neat, very satisfying. These bricks are like nice, big, chunky bricks to play with. The cards are like, you can play the main side, but there's a second side, so you can kind of change it up as well. And then depending on if you're playing 2-player, 3-player, 4 players, each time you'll flip a card over that tells you which boat is going to be available that round. So there'd be more boats in a higher player count game and smaller boats or less boats in a 2-player count game. But I just love it. It is so good. I know there's a Imhotep duel out there. Yeah. I do not have that one, but I want it just because I like this one so much. Yeah, so that's on my wish list. So that was my number 3, Imhotep.
Yes, I still have yet to play this one.
Oh, wow.
One day, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is Gingerbread House, made in 2018. Now, this one is another tile layer, but you are layering your tiles onto this little grid. I believe it's a 3x3 grid. But what you're trying to do is catch these gingerbread men, or not the gingerbread men, these characters for your gingerbread house. And so you have a little board that you're going to place all these tiles on to collect the shapes of the gingerbread. So it'll be like hearts and different shapes like that. And then once you get, I think it's 2 or 3 together, you can grab them and then put them in your pile. And then certain shapes are needed to catch these, like, they're Disney characters basically, but not technically Disney, but they're just like, the prince, the princess, and like all kinds of things that you're collecting. Basically the theme from Hansel and Gretel, like, well, I guess it's not just Hansel and Gretel, but like there's the wolf, there's Hansel and Gretel, and all kinds of things. And so if you have enough... Yeah, fairy tale. There, that's the way to say it. So if you have enough of these gingerbread shapes to catch one, you can grab one from like the communal board or table, and you can take them and their points at the end. Some of them kind of will give you an ability. You can always put one just in your area that you're thinking about catching, and nobody else can catch them. You at your gate, I think it is, and I think you have 2 spots for that. And then there's also things that there's like a wild one you can put, and then you can choose any type of shape that you need. There's like stairs if you have to put a shape on top of one, but there's still an empty spot. You can put this little thing to even it out, because there's like shapes of 2, shapes of 3. So like a 3x1 or a 2x1. And then there are some single ones that you can get if you place your shapes right, but you're building it up high, and it's kind of a puzzle to figure out how to do that in order to get the shapes that you need in order to get the characters that you want to catch. Then there's also like objectives that you're trying to accomplish, and once there's a game in trigger, then you're just going to add up all your points from all the characters you've collected. And maybe one of your objectives was you wanted to collect all non-human characters. So just different like fairy tale characters that are not human, or the opposite, and all kinds of things. But it's really cute. And I always used to play it around Christmas just because of the gingerbread part of it, but it's really not Christmassy. Like, it should be played year round. And I can't wait to play this one again, but that's my number 3, Gingerbread House.
That's one I've heard a lot of good things about, but just haven't come across it. I don't know if it's like a difficult one to come across, but
yeah, actually, I don't see it much on the used market now that you say that.
No, right? All right, yes, because everybody loves it and they won't sell their copy.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is Gizmos. This is just such a pure, great engine building game, and you have this like gumball dispenser thing where all the marbles go into. So you have these bright colored marbles, like actual marbles, and then it kind of comes down the one line. And what sticks out there is kind of what you can pick from. And it starts, everybody's got like the same kind of start, and then you have like level 1 cards, level 2 cards, and level 3 cards that's flipped over. And you can kind of acquire those cards, but you need to have the right marbles in order to be able to purchase those. And then once you purchase them, they get added to your board, but then depend on what they do, and where they activate. And then you can kind of get one where like you're trying to kind of have them build off of each other, where it's like, okay, well, this one makes you go and get more dice, which allows you to be, and I have this one that allows me to use a blue dice as if it was a yellow marble, as a yellow marble, and then you can go and activate this over here. So you're really building up like the engine portion of this game. It's very satisfying. And then you have this little kind of cardboard ring with a hole in the side, and that's where you put your marbles so they don't roll away everywhere. And it just kind of holds them there. But then, like you can only hold so much unless you've acquired cards that allows you to be able to carry more marbles. Then you can do more. And then you'll have some that allow you to go and draw a random marbles from like the dispenser itself blindly. And then say, okay, I got this color. And then you're kind of like, God, you really need a blue. But there's no blue in here. Like, I need to get rid of these marbles. I can get the marble I need, or be able to buy the card that allows you to take one color marble to use as if it's a blue. Or it is so neat. This was a Christmas gift from my mom, and she's just like, I'm not even gonna trust, like, do you have this one and do you want it? I was like, I don't have it, I do want it. So, because like, you can't easily buy games for us unless we make a list. Right. Honestly. But yeah, so she ended up getting me that one, so I knew it was coming, which is almost worse. Yeah. But it's so neat, it's so great. And then just the big chunky marble, and then like how like it all comes together, so neat and satisfying to play, and it looks so good. So that's my number 2, Gizmos.
Yeah, that's a great one. And how did she pick this out? Like, did she go to a game store?
I think she found it on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, yeah.
That was lucky, because this is a gem, for sure. All right. My number 2 is Barenpark, made in 2017. Now, this is one of my favorite polyomino tile laying games. I just love this one. You are building a bear park, and you start with a grid that you need to fill or cover up a certain spot to add another grid. And once you get to 4 completed grids in the base game, there's an expansion that adds another grid to it, but that will end the game. And it's neat because there's always one space on your grid that is like under construction. And what it is you have to complete everything around it, and then once you do, you get to grab this statue tile and put it on it. It's worth big points, especially the quicker you get it done. The higher points are all taken first, and then it goes lower and lower. But when you cover up certain things, you're going to get more tiles. So if you cover up something, the green workers, you're going to get some of these smaller tiles. If you cover up an orange, I think it's a dump truck or something, you're going to get these orange construction, or these animal houses. They're like smaller ones, but are bigger than what the green ones give you. But smaller than the big ones you can get. And then if you cover up this white, I think it's another type of truck, then you will get to grab these big animal tiles that fill a lot of space, but they are tricky to put on because they're kind of weird shapes. And then if you cover up this group of workers, I believe it is, that's when you get to grab a new board and place it beside your board. It's really satisfying because it's just like Tetris, but a game, like a themed game kind of, and the bears are so cute. Then you also have your objectives that you're trying to accomplish quicker than anybody else because there's like a few of the tiles, but the top ones are always higher points. Very quick game, like half an hour, I'm sure you can get this one done, but it's just so satisfying. And a lot of people they'll come up with like other polynomial games and they'll say that it'll replace this. And I have tons of polynomial games, but I don't think any of them replace each other because they all have their own place. And this one is one of my favorite, and that's Barenpark, my number 2.
Yes, I played this at the first time at your house.
Oh yeah, I taught you this one.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it was neat. My number 1. Do you want to?
It's a crossover, right?
It's a crossover.
It's Cacao.
It's Cacao.
Yeah,
that game is just so good. Oh my god, I love it. You know, so you have your little player board that keeps track of how much cocoa beans you have, or cacao beans or whatever, and then your water track, and then it's just everything's right there. And then you're adding these tiles into this main board, and then the checkerboard you're creating. So you have like the plantation, and then you add your hut, and depending on where your little meeples are on this tile, because there's 4 meeples on each one, and there's like either there's like one on every side, or there'll be like 1 and 2 and 1, or maybe there's like 2 and 2, or there's like 3 and 1, or so it just changes up. And be like, okay, so I'm going to place this one here that has the 2 plantation, and I'll put this one there so that has my 3 guys on it. So that means I'm going to collect 6, because each guy is going to go and collect 2. And now this one guy that's all alone over here, but he's going to the market and he gets to sell one of them at this price. So it's just like, as you build up, it's like, okay, now what do you want to create? I was so impressed with this one. And every time I play it, I like it even more. It is just so good. And that's my number 1, Cacao, which was created in 2015.
Awesome. All right. My number 1 is a crossover as well. And
really?
That is, you'll probably guess it immediately.
I'm not even sure which one you haven't mentioned here yet.
Oh yeah, because I've got all the crossovers circled. You don't have them in front of you.
No, I don't.
Right. Do you want to take a guess?
No, just tell me.
Okay. Gizmos.
Oh yeah,
Gizmos,
you just talked about it.
Yeah. Made in 2018. I love this game. This was one of my first engine builder games that I played in my old cafe back when I first became a gamer, and I loved it. And then I purchased this game, and I had this friend who used to host game nights all the time, and we would go there quite frequently. So I gifted it to her. And then after that, maybe it was COVID or I can't remember, but we didn't game after that at her place anymore. And I'm like, oh, what have I done? And so then I ended up buying the game myself. But I love this game. And it can be equally frustrating too. But it's so good because you kind of want to build up your, not abilities, but your tools so that you can hold more marbles, so that you can file more cards. And what's the other one that you build? Oh, so that you can look at more cards before you choose one. I forget, it's like called Seek or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you want to do that, but then like you want to like get an engine going. But the one thing that I always found too is that some people get their engine going before they start collecting points. And so if you do that too much and you haven't got any of the point, like the point builds, where when you build something you can grab the point chips, people will destroy you. So you really need to have a few of those, even starting from the beginning. Maybe not the first couple rounds, but after that you do need them, because sometimes I will destroy people that way, where they're like, what the heck? You have like 10 point chips. I'm like, yeah, I started collecting them from like round 4. didn't you see me? But if you keep an eye on people that they are starting to do that, you have to do it as well, or they're gonna kill you. But it's so neat because there's 3 levels of cards, and the first ones are quite easy to purchase, so they're only like 1 or 2 marbles, but then some of the big ones are quite a bit, and it's nice because you can seek one out and look, and then you can have it in your file and then kind of build towards it, because you might need 7 marbles for that or something. But if you can hold 3 or 4 files, then it's okay. You can have it sit there for quite a while. But if you only have 1 file that you can just sit there, then you can't do that. So there's all different kinds of strategies you can do in this game, but it's just so neat. And it always seems to go quicker than I think. Like, it's like, oh, this is about an hour-long game. And then all of a sudden, like, half hour goes by and it's almost over. And I'm like, this isn't an hour-long game. It's only like a half an hour, but I feel like I want it to go longer. And those are always the best games, when you're like, it was too short. I want to do, yeah, exactly. But it's awesome. I love this one. And that's my number 1, good. Gizmos.
Very nice. Yeah. Great list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. Like, there's such a variety of games, like from heavier ones to little card games to like the adventure games. I was like, no, that can't be him. I'm like, really? Like, just such a wide variety of style of games that he's done. That's amazing.
And he just came out with a new one that was at, I'm just looking it up again.
Gen Con?
At Gen Con. Oh, shoot. Where's it? I think it's a tile layer. I've just got to look quick here.
Yeah.
But it looked interesting. Let's see here if he's got it on that list.
Well, because my Shelfie is one that's his as well. That just for theme alone, I want to try.
Yeah, that one was good too.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's just a bunch of that I want to try.
Yeah. No, I can't find it. It's not on his first list there, but there's like so many other ones too. Archeology, the card game. Planted is a really nice little tiny engine builder. That's fun. He's got so many games that are good. So when he comes out with one, it's always one to look at, because you just never know what you're going to get and what theme. Like, he kind of covers all different kinds of areas of theme and stuff, but so awesome.
Yeah. No, and him and his wife has started a publishing company as well called
that's Games right.
in Australia. Right. So
and he's been interviewed. I don't know if the Dice Tower interviewed him, but he has been interviewed on 5 Games for Doomsday, and that was a really interesting interview. If anyone ever wants to just hear about his life, it's kind of neat. Give that one a listen. But so next time that you will listen to us, we will be back from FallCon. So this is one of or the biggest convention for us in our province.
Yes.
And it's quite big. You are part of FallCon.
Yes. It's gonna be busy.
Yeah. You volunteer there. You're on the team, right? Or what do you call
actually, when this episode airs, it's going to be the Monday after, so we'll just have been coming back from FallCon. So 3 full days. So actually starts at noon on Friday, and I've taken the full Friday off. So noon to basically midnight. Then was it 9 or 10 to midnight? Yeah. And then 9 to 5. So full on gaming. There's the auction. There's bunch of, like, the prototype alley, which a lot of our friends have their games showcased. So you can kind of go and try out. So I know I've tried a few of them out because Ashley brought some here. I just played her game called Tag, which is all about graffiti. And you got to collect the paint, and you got to have like the little squirt nozzle, and then to do these different graffitis, and they'll score differently. And it was just very satisfying to play. It was so cool. And it's neat to see the games develop. And then afterwards, okay, maybe this should be tweaked. Like, it just kind of be part of that process. It was so cool. But so that'll be at FallCon, and she'll have her game search. Which is about a search and rescue dogs. Yes. It's really cool. Yeah. And that one is actually up for the award.
is it the
the
Canadian?
Canadian Board Game Designer Award. And
Yeah,
then Michael, our friend Michael, also has his game Qapla in there as well. Now, I do believe Qapla is being showcased at the Prototype Alley as well.
Right.
And then my friend Duncan has so many games on the go, and they're all there as well. Which
really?
Yeah,
I haven't played any of his yet.
Oh, you gotta. Like, he's got this planting one that's just so satisfying, like area controlled tiling. I think you would really love it. And then he has one about like drag queen, like where you're a drag queen and you're training the drag princess to become like, kind of improve their position and into this big drag show. That's actually really, really fun. And I've played this one. Geez, like he had it at MalCon 2020. So like, and it's completely revamped now. The board is all different. I was like, whoa, what's happened to this? So I think he's a bit of a perfectionist. So he kind of really works on them before he releases them. Now, he did do one of the games for Deck the Hall.
Humbug. Right. Oh yeah.
Humbug, yeah.
Humbug,
Deck
yeah.
the Hall.
Yeah, I haven't learned that one yet either. I have to
Oh my god, when he showed me that game the first time, it was funny. It wasn't even him who showed me the game. It was Michael who had played it, that had kind of created a version of it. And he says, Melanie, you need to try this. Because it's a deck building trick-taking game. I have never heard of this combination before. And I was blown away. And I was like, oh my god. Like, this was so good. So, and like right away after we're done, I was like, oh my god, Duncan, this game. So I can't wait. This was kickstarted last year. It should be, it should be, I think this fall it should be coming out. So I'm so excited for that. So it's gonna be a great event. Like, this is just a prototype alley. I'm gonna be helping out in the open gaming area because there's a huge library available there as well that everybody can kind of have access to. I've signed up to play Mosaic, a civilization game, and then I've signed up to finally play Ark Nova.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get that off my like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I haven't played that one. Everybody else in the world has, but so, and then it's my brother's birthday this weekend, and for his birthday, I was like, hey, could I gift you a day pass? And then so he's coming on the Saturday as well. So I haven't seen or played with him in a long time, so that's gonna be really cool. And then the auction.
Oh yes,
I'm so excited for the auction. Yeah, and I was like,
we've already placed our bets on how much Mel's gonna buy.
I'm on a board game diet, and I keep saying I'm on a board game diet. I said maybe I'll sell some games, and I went through and started looking at my games, and I'm like, who am I kidding? I'm not selling these.
Well, it's funny because we have this big group chat, and so I saw this whole pile of games, which I thought was you listing them, and I was like, what? You're selling all those games? But it was a different friend selling them, and some of them were doubles because I'm like, how are you getting rid of those games? There were so many good games in those piles.
There were some really good games.
Those weren't yours.
No. And I was like, oh, darn you. See, I want that one. And then I was looking at Yedo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that's good, too.
I've heard it's good. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I was like, but I don't have a Y game.
Is that a Stefan Feld game?
I'm not sure who makes Yedo, but it was just like, because I'm doing that alphabet challenge, and that's the one letter I don't have. And I was like, oh, maybe I should buy it. It's funny. A terrible reason to buy a game. Like, I could just do Yahtzee, but who wants to have Yahtzee? But yeah, so I don't have a problem, I swear. Oh my god, yeah. But like, I have filled a 5x5 calyx since I've moved here, which was a year ago. Like, that's in 1 year, I've filled an entire 5x5. That's a lot of games.
You have 5? I might have 4x4s.
I have 3 5x5s. Wow. I have 2 1x4s, and I have 2 2x3s. Like, It's a lot of shelves.
It doesn't take much to fill them, though, when there's so many good games out there.
Right? And then I was like, okay, I should be good. But it's like, oh, that one's on my wish list. Oh, that one's on my wish list. And there's like somebody was like, okay, so if you had $250 to spend on games right now, what would you buy? And I was like, Bunny Kingdom, and then Legendary Encounters Matrix, and then I would totally be buying the Manhattan Project Energy Empire now after we played this. I was like, oh, this is not gonna stall. And then I did buy one over the weekend. A friend of mine was posting games he was selling, and I was like, oh, maybe. And I was like, Eric Lang, yeah, I'm buying that one.
Which game was that?
XCom.
Oh.
So it sounds like it's an app-driven game. It sounded interesting from what he was saying, but I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know. And then then I saw Eric Lang was the publisher, and I was like, sold, done. Oh my God. Well, yeah, we'll need to do an Eric Lang list here soon.
I think I've only played one of his games.
What? No, double check though. He's done way more than you can think of. Because I keep coming across games. I'm like, I didn't know he made this one as well. Like, he's done a lot of games too. But yeah. So yeah, this was an exciting list to do. FallCon's coming up, super exciting. And then we're gonna do next episode. We're gonna do a FallCon recap, and I'm sure there'll be a lot to say.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's been since March, since our last convention, so I really need to get into a convention.
Yeah, it's just such a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, where can people reach you?
So we have our Discord channel. We'll make sure to put the link in the comments and let us know if it expires, because they do that all the time. I don't know why. On Facebook, my Facebook page is Mal's Board Game Room. My Instagram is Mal's_boardgame_room. And my YouTube channel is Mal's Board Game Room. How about you, Carla? Where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at Board Game Specialist, all one word. And I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. All right. Well, until next time, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Bye.